Born in Lexington, Kentucky, raised in Springfield, Ohio, he compiled up to 125 amateur records and represented the U.S. in the 1952 Helsinki Olympic Games. He lost the WBC WBA featherweight title to Shooter Ramos by a 10-round stoppage and suffered a brain injury when his head hit the bottom rope after a knockout, dying 2 days later. Known as the Springfield Rifle for his hard punching style, he boxed all over the world. In 2013, a statue of him was erected in his honor in Springfield. 2001, overtime in the category, 84. Born in Minster, California, followed his father into the ring, having met champions Emmanuel Ortiz and Harold Day before retiring. He began managing and training fighters in 1953 and would become regarded as one of the most respected figures in the sport. His first world champion was Don Jordan. He would go on to guide stable boxers such as Mando Ramos, Loa Carlos, Palomino, and Raul Rojas. 2001, non-participant Jack McCoy. Born in Manhattan, he boxed as an amateur before those had reported to retire. He eventually retired from his shooting and trained professional boxers in 6-decade career. He was renowned as one of the best in the sport. Among the boxers he worked against Angelo Ortega, George Chavala, Erwin Terrell, Dick Tiger, Floyd Patterson, and many more. He passed this 4 months after receiving his Customano Award for Outstanding Observer in the field. So we're ready to get a machine. 2021 non-participating Freddie Brown. Born in Brooklyn, he graduated from the CW course at Long Island University, Boston Conservatory of Music, UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. He began working at Showtime in 1984. Showtime became one of the most influential figures in boxing. The stars of network showcased included Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Leo Sager Scotland, Felix Trinidad, and Ricky Gag. In 2005, he, along with Rich Verona, was the recipient of the Boxing Writers Sam Tall Award for Excellence in Broadcasting. He passed away August 9, 2010, at the age of 59 from a brain tumor. 2021 Observer category, J. Larker. Born in New York, the Trailblazer era had an everlasting impact. Her impact on boxing was a successful mid-70s lawsuit against the powerful and influential New York State Athletic Commission that allowed female boxers to be licensed in boxing professionally in the Empire State, thus paving the way for the next generation. She passed away with colon cancer in 2009 at the age of 75. 2021 Trailblazers category, Jack Catamano. Born in Grass Valley, California, he settled in Boston in 1970 to pursue a career in freelance writing. In 1972, he became sports editor in the Boston Phoenix. In 1979, he was added to the Boston Herald as a sport columnist and remained there for 25 years. His start at the Herald coincided the rise of Marvelous Marvin adding middleweight title reign, and he wrote weekly boxing columns. He would cover more than 400 world title bouts before leaving the Herald, but continued to cover the sport for Irish Times, Sweet Science, and the ESPN. He authored books including Before Kings, and he won the Boxing Writers Nat Fletcher Award for Excellence. He died at age 67 following a lengthy battle with cancer. 2001 Observer, George Kimball. Born in Genesee, Washington, he turned pro at 5'8" in 1920. As a contender at the 1930-pound junior lightweight title, he upset Mike Bellamino to win the title and become the first world champion from the Washington State. He reigned for 4 years, successfully defending the belt 12 times. After losing his title, he relocated in Australia and was extremely popular with fans down under. 1946, he returned to the United States in Kurt Mansion and worked as a bellboy before falling ill and passing away at age 50. 2022, old-timer category, Tom Morgan. Born in Jacksonville, Illinois in 1953, he was named the first sports director, class Channel B in Las Vegas. He began his ring announcing career the following year. His first championship fight was in Buddy and Kid Correct, John and the John Moore Jordan. Wow. He worked all the title contests and senior palace in Las Vegas until 1989. Some call from the Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Williams, Marlon Hager, Thomas Williams, Larry Holmes, Gary Cooney, and Muhammad Ali, and Larry Holmes. With over 130 world championship bouts to his credit. And in the 2002 America's category, Chuck Hall. Okay, now I'd like to move on, and we are going to call on some of the relatives of these deceased. First, I'd like to call on Joan Stephen, cousin of Jackie Catalano. You're right, I'm going to ask the dog lawyer. I don't answer.
I want to thank the International Boxing Hall of Fame for acknowledging my cousin Jackie Thompson. My cousin Jackie loved boxing more than anything. It was her life. She loved it at times when the women were not allowed. As a youngster, I was trials and tribulation in her career as a fighter. No matter what people said about her or tried to do, get in her way, she never let anything stop her from pursuing her dream. She fought for herself, and for her whole life. So this world means everything to her. To know her legacy in boxing will be remembered and an inspiration for female athletes. Thank you so much.
Before we continue, we have a late arrival, the Golden Boy, Hall of Famer, Ella. Before we go any further, I'd like to let everyone know out there that the deceased families will receive a certificate of the Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm going to read what it says. It says there have been tens of thousands of people involved in the sport of professional boxing. Only a few are memorialized for their achievements in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Inductees in the International Boxing Hall of Fame in Minnesota, New York, are determined by the criteria of the Hall of Fame and the full of the Boxing Writers Association of America, and other boxing writers and historians from throughout the world. Congratulations to the high regard in which you are held in this knowledgeable group. The honor symbolizes your accomplishments in the sport of boxing, worldwide year-round sport that requires discipline, dedication, talent, now I'm going to call Jenny Knightley and make use of the name record. And Ryan? And there it is.
I would like to thank the International Boxing Hall of Fame, honoring my great grandfather, the last year of having been champion of the world. For his contributions to interpretations of the great sport of boxing. Thank you.
Okay, Richard Zuckerman, the grandson of Freddie Brown.
Good afternoon. I'm the grandson of Freddie Brown. First, I'd like to thank Ed Roby and his team for putting this all together and keeping the International Boxing Hall of Fame going. We'd also like to thank International Boxing Hall of Fame for bestowing this honor on our cornerman, Freddie Brown, as I would call him Papa Freddie. Freddie Brown is known as the champion man, 60-second surgery, the man in the corner with the green sweater, and the inspiration for the character of Mickey and Rocky. These monikers came from his hard work, dedication, and loyalty to the sport of boxing, and more specifically in the gym and the corner of his many fighters, some of them champions, including but not limited to Abe Simon, Dick Tyler, Hurricane Jackson, Joey Archer, Bob Pastor, Rocky Graziano, Rocky Martin, Lloyd Patterson, Hurricane Carter, Aaron Pryor, Vito Antifermo, Larry Holmes, and Freddie's numero uno, Roberto Duran. Papi Freddie was also the cornerman for our family, always there for us. Today, his daughters, Arlene and Geraldine, are sitting here. His son-in-laws, Lester and John, grandson Jared, great-granddaughter Jordan, great-grandson Craig. Freddie Brown literally fought his way off the streets of the Lower East Side. He was an amateur with a 68-4 record, grabbed a broken nose, and even worse, doctor, entered his fight career. What gave him that signature boxing face that is known throughout the sport. Boxing was his life, and in turn, it became all of our lives. As a 10-year-old, I watched Duran train in the gym. I was at camps with Duran in Grothendrecht, the Larry Hopkins camp in Easton, watched him master at work. I sat ringside in MSG, watching him work in the corner for Roberto Duran beating Carlos Palomino. And on that same card, Larry Hopkins defeating Mike Weaver. What a night and what a thrill for a kid. Just as it's a thrill right now to honor him in this induction here at the Hall of Fame. If Freddie Brown was here today, he would have a big smile on his face, chewing on a cigar, and talking boxing with all these greats up here and out there. One thing, and the only person he would also want to thank would be his greatest fan, his corner woman, his wife, and boxing enthusiast, Muriel Brown. Once again, thank you everybody. God bless. Brooklyn.
Okay, up next, Peter Kimball, the brother of George.
On behalf of George Edward Kimball III and our family, I want to thank the International Boxing Hall of Fame for this great honor. And I know that if George was here, he would be especially proud to be among this historic trilogy of inductees, including so many great writers, fighters, and champions. And he'd offer a special shout out to his fellow trilogy inductees, Lou DeBella, Thomas Howard, and Ron Morris. Over the years, I was lucky enough to go with George to work college and professional sporting events, and I can remember World Series, NCAA Final Four, Orange Row, Sugar Bowls, 5 Super Bowls, and more Kentucky Derbies than I have fingers and toes. But I never fully understood George's complete love of boxing until he took me to Atlantic City to see a Turo Gotti fight making board. George is the first of 7 children. Today I'm here with our sister Becky, who's number 6 of 7. I am 5 of 7. Our mother Sue always taught school, and after the birth of her 7th child, Sue got a master's degree in education. 12 years later, a PhD, and at the age of 57, she began a career teaching college for more than 20 years, until the university discovered she was 3 years past the mandatory retirement age. Mom was the only one who could beat George at Scrabble. And then I know George was here, he would thank our mother, Dr. Sue Kimball. One of the things that most people don't know about George is that for his entire life, he was a foot soldier in the battle for equality and justice for all. And his politics have been the reason he got along so well with Muhammad Ali. Among our many favorite family treasures is a photo of a smiling Ali holding George's infant daughter, Darcy, and a few years later, another photo with the greatest illusion, his son, George IV. Darcy is a nurse in Colorado about to give birth to her first child literally any day now. And George IV is a hotshot firefighter in Arizona. Late last year, he became the proud father of George V. And if you knew George, then you know how important family was to him. And if he was here, he would want to thank his children, Darcy and George, their mother, Sarah, and his loving wife, Dr. Marge Merrick. George and Marge were married in 2004, ceremony presided over by the Reverend George Foreman I, who is also the father of George V. So it's a tie. When George was diagnosed with cancer in 2006, the odds were 50-50 he'd be gone in a year. But if you ever played golf with George, then you know how competitive he was, and he had the heart of a champion. In the 6 years he had left, he didn't fight cancer, he ignored it. And as a legacy for his children, he published 6 books in those 6 years, including Fire Still Remains, The Man in Art, At the Fights, and The 4 Kings. By all accounts, the definitive chronicle of the 9 fights between marvelous Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Tippy, and Herndon, and Roberto Duran. Most unfortunately, a few years ago, after a series of meetings with Showtime, where the 4 Kings was actively pitched as a series, Showtime removed the number 4 from the title, produced a 4-part documentary based on George's work called The Kings, and failed to acknowledge George in any way. Again, thanks to the Boxing Hall of Fame for this great honor. I know if George were here, he would proudly consider this pinnacle of his 4-year career as a sportsman.
Next, I'd like to call on Ryan and Gabriel Lerner, the sons of Jim.
First of all, to the Boxing Hall of Fame, the Boxing Writers Association, and to all inductees. We are just so humbled to accept this honor on behalf of Jay. Our father Jay lived and breathed the sport of boxing. Whether in the office or at home, it was his obsession. In the years after his departure from Showtime Networks, he always closely followed goings on in the industry, kept in touch with colleagues, and offered guidance to those seeking it. As one of the men behind the creation of Showtime Championship Boxing and Showbox, his impact on bringing the sport of boxing onto television cannot be overstated. Behind the scenes, he also happened to be a perfect dad, a perfect nephew, perfect husband, and perfect son. We very deeply regret that he couldn't be here himself to accept this honor, and I can only imagine how unbelievably ecstatic he would be right now. Thank you so much to everyone here for including our father among such legends, past and present. Gabriel would like to make some remarks. Thank you again.
To add on to my brother's words, we are delighted, honored, and humbled to be able to accept this honor in place of our late and great dad, Jay. We are truly lucky to have grown up with a father like him, who was smart and loving, incredibly witty, with a bottomless reservoir of one-liners, and always laughing, making our early lives a constant joy. Though I never inherited his love for the sport when I was younger, at the time I was always more interested in our PlayStation than I was with our speed guy. I try my hardest every day to follow his example and lead my life to the fullest and best as I can, with that same passion for life and to love those around me to the greatest of my ability, just as he did. Jay Larkin was and still is my hero. And while he can't be here with us today, I'm immensely grateful, blessed, and proud to have had him as our father. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, up next, I'd like to call out Brittany Gleason, Dan Gleason.
I'm more shy than I was, so I'll keep this short and sweet. If you knew him, you'd know his greatest loves, God, family, boxing, and an audience for his jokes. He truly loved the sport and dedicated his life to it. I have many fond memories of summers in high school working at the office with my dad, my cousin Craig, and my uncle Dan. At the time, I was actually pretty mad at my mom for making me work. But looking back, I realized how lucky I was to be caught me down from the distance from someone like him. We were all lucky to learn from him, be in his presence. He always encouraged me to work in boxing, even when I tried to rebel against the family trade. But for us Guzman, boxing is family. Boxing was our immediate family, starting with my grandpa, Ellie Gibson, and an empty lot in North Hollywood, California. We put on shows at the Country Club Reseda where everyone was involved. My Uncle Joe, who I'm sure will soon be a Hall of Famer himself, right? My Uncle Larry put a gym in Big Bear, training camp too. My Uncle Pat, who was a fighter himself, as were his three sons, Eric, EJ, and Chucky. My mom, Sandy, ran the ticket booth for mom. And of course, my dad, Tom Brown, another future Hall of Famer. Imagine being the master of the trade. Boxing was immediate family, but it was also a dependent family. Looking out at the crowd today and all the inductees, I recognize so many people that my Uncle Dan loved and recognized as honorary Gleason. To know Uncle Dan, even as a competitor in boxing, was to share a steak, a drink, and a laugh with him. The continued success of his friends and the recognition so many of them are receiving this weekend would have made him as proud as his own induction. So today, my Uncle Dan enters the Hall of Fame, but with every big fight, every bombastic press conference, and even every loud suit someone wears, his legacy endures. On behalf of Guzman's family to our extended boxing family, cheers to the 2020 International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee, Daniel A. Guzman.
Inductees, and just a reminder, this is our trilogy, which means we have three classes, three participants here. Well, each one of them will bring from the box of the and their certificate also. As you know, too, that the 2020 Hall of Fame began recognizing female boxers. We are so pleased to speak of 33 classes, not only Verona, but Candace Dover. Congratulations. I'd like to give everyone, Julian, for remarks.
Well, what an honor it is to be with you here today. It's very special, and I've been asked to say a few words on behalf of the alumni of the International Boxing Hall of Famers. Now, it's a little awkward for me because I'm not a fighter, but I'm so honored to have a role and be a part of the Hall of Fame. I want to let you know that I see my role as a ring announcer as introducing the fighters, including the spotlight on the greatest fighters in the world. Not only the greatest fighters in the world, but anyone who steps into the ring. And here today we have the elite of the sport, those who are being inducted into the Hall of Fame, whether it's participants or viewers as well, non-participants as well. But the spotlight is the key. That's why I work so hard to pronounce the fighters' names correctly. Try to interview them, make sure I get their name correct, their hometown, their records, their accolades, everything, because these fighters deserve that spotlight. I'm so proud to be inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2013. I'm proud to wear this ring when I announce the fights. I purpose is putting on my ring announcing hand, and everyone thinks this is something that means so much to me. I'm also very proud to be one of the few father and son inductees into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Of course, I'm doing that. We're just going to picture that. I'm going to that recognition there for him. I want to tell you something that at the peak of his career, where he had done so many huge fights, he's given about 75 television and movie appearances in boxing. The peak of his career, he one day was asked to participate in a film by an unknown actor who also wrote the film. His name was Sylvester Stallone. He reluctantly agreed to do the part of the role, reluctantly because I say it was a minimum paid job, and he was convinced by the casting director. He agreed to do it. The casting director said just one thing, gotta give you the directors. I'll introduce you to the directors. And they went into the office of the director, who was sitting down, and the director looked up. So there's a ring announcer. And he said, yes. He said, you don't look like a ring announcer. My dad said, well, you don't look like a director. You let us strip and walk away. So that there was never one was Stallone invited him to Company 3, and he was very proud for that. Did he regret that? Yeah, absolutely, he regretted it. That was. Hey, listen, on behalf of the alumni, we extend a very special welcome to the legends of the sport, both the past, the present, and the future. A heartfelt thank you to the board, to the volunteers who do so much to make this successful, and to you, the fans, who've been so supportive year after year, and this year you just made it everyone in the boxing world feel so very special. And congratulations to the inductees and the class of the International Boxing Hall of Fame 2020, 2021, and 2022 to my left and to my right. And with further ado, I will close with this, as it is time to shine boxing's brightest and most prestigious spotlight are the well-deserved inductees of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And with this I say, and now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Turning Stone Resort Casino in the nearby home of the International Boxing Hall of Fame of Minnesota, New York, it's showtime!
Folks, we're going to start out with our 2020 inductions. And first, we have a little video we'd like to play on the screens. Caballeros, first inductee is unable to make it. I'm going to read the bio and then we're going to have a film that she has sent us. Born in Amsterdam, Netherlands, a championship martial arts artist, she posted a 37-0 kickboxing record before pursuing a boxing career. In the following 8 years, she went undefeated, posting a 17-0 record. Soon after turning pro, she switched to trainer Freddie Roach and signed with Bob Arum's Top Rank. She captured the WIBF Superweight title and the IBO Superweight title. In 2005, she portrayed Billy the Blue Bear in the Academy Award-winning motion picture The $1 Million Lady. A proposed super fight, Christy Martin was canceled due to an Achilles tendon injury. She has remained in the sport as a trainer, guiding young Deanna Parsons to a WBC world title. And I think we have a film from Michelle, she's son.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, I won't be able to attend today. I want to thank all the volunteers and Ed for putting together this amazing event, the biggest Hall of Fame ever, 3 years of inductees. I want to congratulate all of you with your honor of being a great champion, of being a recognized champion today. I'm very grateful that I was part of being a great champion in the era that we all lost. I know most of you personally. I'm honored to have worked with you, fought with you on same cards, or even was scheduled on cards to fight some of you with my students, but also as a fighter. Thank you for your great work. I hope this message reaches all of you in great health. And I'm wearing my American flag because I miss America. I've been in the Netherlands now for 2 years. I hope to be able to come home soon and receive my ring, just like all of you. I'm grateful to have been a fighter my whole life. I built my career on all the knowledge I gained as a combat artist and a champion in and outside the ring. I want to thank my trainers, Freddie Roach and Manuel Stewart. I want to thank all my managers, assistant trainers, promoters, and also the fighters that gave me an opportunity to fight on the card, or like James Stoney, to be able to go to training camp with you. And I salute you, and I respect all of you greatly. Thank you.
Okay, next, native of New Orleans, he was introduced to the sport by his prize-fighter father and began his sports writing career as a copy boy. The New Orleans Times, Picayune, and later at the Miami Herald and Jackson Daily News in Mississippi. A few bouts he covered from ringside are unbelievably on stage 2. Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks, Buster Douglas, and Tyson, Mickey Ward, and the Goddess Theories, and Julio Cesar Chavez team. He now writes for such outlets as The Ring and The Sweet Science. He received over 100 awards for writing in public service. 5-term president of the Boxing Writers Association, has appeared in 3 boxing films. The 2020 Observer Hall of Famer, Bernard Fernandez, and coming up to accept for Bernard is his friend Joe. Joe, I'm going to get your leg on. Say a wicked word.
I released first for celebrating everybody's induction. And I'm going to try to make this brief. I have to go back to the very first time we met with your friend, Bernard Fernandez. His New York members of Fernandez. And close to the veteran state in Philadelphia, where Don King told me, it's me, and I'm kind of fighter. It was about time, Ben, coming Eagles, and wanted to meet my hero. You know, just out of school, love boxing, love everything right road. And And here I am, and the manicures, my hero. And sweaty Freddie from the just got to play basketball. Just had a special weekend nights last year with them and very much punishment. To find cheese goldfish. He was hungry. He says, I haven't eaten anything. I'm this young kid, and come up, oh my God. Child, I kindness. So I'm like rhyming, and if anybody saw Verona, it's like it's crazy. There was branch did flying everywhere, so I knew better to stay away. And eventually, one over introduced himself to them, and it blossomed into a beautiful friendship. I had to stay there. Teams like band, and parents. It's Verona, it seemed to be the very old extinction. It's Verona, a story that he loved as a child. One of the homes in which is like no other one. I want to be able to walk on 7 Vernon's still writing. He has a few books out now, anthologies on his amazing work, goes out and see them. And one of them, I congratulate all of them. He's humbled and honored by the achievement. Was it, it's been a difficult situation for him. He had to do what was right, and being right was what Anne's coming through for serious goals right now. It wasn't about to be first stop. It's fresh. He thanks Anne and Wolfie. And he wants to show thank his children, Kevin, Randy, Mommy, and Amy, and support, and always being there. Mostly he wants to thank Anne. Because without her, he's not here. Bernie didn't even know you were my soon. One. That kind of support and love as a child. And he did well for decades. He did a great job for decades. He got the cover now, one of the greatest players of all time. Created a lot, like one of Marx's greatest passages, come from anywhere in the world. So I'm going to do something. One huge thing, but I think about this. It's the painting, and I'll tell you. I'm going to call him from it, it's right there. He's going to induct him in the Hall of Fame, and he's going to hear you guys die and shoot him. Okay? Hold it, go. I'm going to put him on the hand. I told him better than I knew God especially because he's had a touch me. Oh, there you go, Sean.
On behalf of Bernard Fernandez, I would like to will accept the Boxing Hall of Fame. I'd also like to thank again, as Joe said, Williamson, and Bruce, and everybody at the Boxing Hall of Fame. And I'll still tell Bernard Fernandez, only thing we have in common is our first name. One of the greatest writers of YM. Congratulations, Bernard Fernandez. You've been a legend in YM. Thank you.
Born in May 1960 in Brooklyn, he was vice president in charge of programming at HBO for 11 years. And during the tenure, his vision saw the network of champions become the preeminent network. In the mid-2000s, he left his position at HBO, establishing Develop Entertainment, where he created the popular monthly televised series Broadway Boxing. He was one of the promoters who correlated with Showtime, facilitated the Super 6 World Boxing Classic Super Middleweight Tournament 2016 He devoted the first heavyweight title bout in Brooklyn in 115 years. For his passion for the sport and his boxers, 2020 Hall of Fame inductee in that just as a category, new development.
I just want to look up for something, damn. And when I was about 10 years old, I had a transistor radio under my pillow, listening to my hero Muhammad Ali, like the president, and getting round by round updates to WYNF radio in New York. I never could have imagined being here today. Boxing's been such a tremendous part of my life. It's created so many opportunities for me. I got to have one Nelson Mandela taught boxing. I got to play myself in a rock. I went to 50 countries as a television executive and a boxer. I've gotten to meet some of the most amazing people on the face of the earth, some of the creative kings and presidents. Why? Because of boxing thing. I'm there for a niche sport, baby. Because our niche is huge. Our sport is different. We're different than any other sport. We're more relatable. And why is that? Because we're more of a reflection of the real world than any other sport. We're a microcosm of the real world. Everybody has to fight. None of us are here forever. We follow our feelings. We fight for our kids. We fight for a better future. We fight for many, many things that we're all going to get knocked on our keisters, and we all have to get on. And that's why we're still together. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're eternal. And that's why you will be here forever. And F everybody that says boxing. God. Well, poetry to our sport, this was theater to our sport. On our best nights, we are better than anybody. We are the best. And that leads me to Isabella comment because he had a joke about me last night. I know a little passionate. I'm from around that bomb. Hey, Brooklyn. But I never come from a place that was strong as when it comes to our sport. I love boxing. And I sort of view it like you have a kid or you have a parent, you have a brother or sister, and they're trouble. They're sick, and you know their prevention, and you know how great they can be, and you just want them to be better. And if I've been a critic during the course of my 30 years of the sport, because of that money, I love the sport, and we are the sport of kings and queens that I want us to carry ourselves like that into the future. Couple of things I'm not particularly good at. One of them is smelling the roses. So I want to thank everyone at the Hall of Fame, all the volunteers, all my fellow inductees, and everybody I hung out with for the last 4 or 5 days for shoving those roses in my face and making me smell them. Thank you. And I've never been so great at expressing gratitude, which is amazing because the only thing I feel in my body right now is gratitude. And there will be what I thank the people. Mentors, I've had a ridiculous number of teachers and mentors in support of boxing. You know, it's almost like it's listed that I can start naming people, I can't use just too many of them. But God, how blessed I am to have had too many mentors and teachers. So I want to just know that and thank them all, and some of them still around and they know who they are. I want to thank Seth Abraham, HBO. I was an unhappy boy who stuck into the HBO building after I didn't get a job at the New York Yankees, and stuck into the building and got up to see him and convinced him on a Friday to offer me a job on a Monday, and that changed my life. And just one note on Seth Abraham, at a period of time where boxing was in crisis,
where there had been a huge scandal, which was spoken on TV, boxers didn't have a home. Seth embraced HBO, embraced boxing, and the rest is history. Boxing had a run in the 80s as I lived in a weather age, enjoyed 50 years as the industry leader of boxing, and thank you, Seth, for belonging in the Hall of Fame. My developmental family, everybody that's worked with me since I left HBO, I want to shout out to people that married Alice and Sean, and like my ride or dies, and everybody that's ever worked for me at DDB, so many of them are still friends and family to me, and I thank you all. I want to thank my family, and I want to thank my mom, who's 88 years old, which is here today, but she's not. I want to thank my mom, who's a wacky, wild, creative, brilliant, nutty person. That probably sounds familiar to some of you. And she made me believe that there was nothing that a little boy couldn't do. And I wouldn't be here without her. My dad, who's not here any longer, was my hero. My dad gives you the greatest lessons I ever had. First one, if you want to be respected, there's nothing comes free. And if you want to be respected, you need to respect people, listen to people, you need to treat them correctly. And the second message is if you have all the money in the world, you have the greatest house, $100,000 watch, with Bentley, and if you've lost your humanity, you have nothing. That's why I say, it all doesn't matter if you're a piece of shit. My partner in crime, Devin Finoni, thank you for loving me and putting up with this crazy business. I think everybody out there knows, well, there's Richard involved in Box's world in the 80s. So I wanted that fair. Most importantly, and it's the reason I'm here, it's the reason I wanted to be involved in the sport of boxing from the beginning. I want to thank the fighters. You guys are all my heroes from the time I faced this involved. And to be able to have a career where the guys like this who went to Pillow became people I knew, and I got to know Muhammad and Joe and their families, and I got to call the four kings, the only four kings, the real four kings, Hagler, Leonard, and Durant, my friends. And I got to call them. Who I respect, who inspire me, and who inspire me to bring the link out there. Thank you. This has really been one of the great weeks of my life, and really humbled to be here. Thank you.
Born in New York, graduated from Columbia Law School in 1970, and was a law firm associate from 1971 to 1977. While matriculating at Columbia, he hosted a radio program called Personalities in Sports, where he interviewed sports stars, including Muhammad Ali. He turned his attention to writing, and in 1986, he authored the acclaimed The Black Lights, Inside the World of Professional Boxing. In 1991, he published Muhammad Ali, His Life and Times, and his articles have become must-reads for boxing fans around the world. In 2020 Observer category, Tom Hauser.
It's extraordinary courage, dignity, grace, and response. beyond that, I've often said that some of the best people I've met in my life were in boxing, and many of the worst people I've ever met in my life in boxing. But it's never boring, and it's a great writer's sport. Let me start with the fighters. This is your sport. The rest of us is just along for the ride. I'm indebted to every fighter who allowed me in his dressing room in the hours before he fought, so I could chronicle that night for history. And I'm equally indebted to all the other fighters for being who you are. I'd like to acknowledge the promoters, trainers, managers, match leaders, ring doctors, the executive, fellow writers, and all the others involved in the community who have been so generous in sharing their knowledge with me. I'm very moved by the thought of each and every person who put a check next to my name in the Hall of Fame induction ballot. Voting is anonymous, so I don't know who you are, but thank you. A special thank you, Muhammad Ali. And thank you to the fans, those of you who are gathered here today and beyond. One of the nicest things about writing for a living is the realization that on occasion someone actually needs what I write. A lot of the motivation for what I do comes to you. Mike Jones, who managed Billy Costello to a world title, was my first guide for boxing. 4 decades ago, Mike said something that has always stayed with me. And in closing, I'd like to share it with you now. To understand boxing, you have to understand tradition and what it takes to get inside a ring. You have to learn about promoters and television and what goes on inside a fighter's head from the time his career begins until the day it ends. You have to grasp the reality of snap facing and pain and understand how they can be part of something courageous, exciting, and beautiful. I know I've been there, and after everything I've been through in boxing, I can look you square in the eye and tell you boxing is beautiful, the purest sport in the world. You can knock promoters, you can knock trainers, managers, even fighters, but don't knock boxing. It's the best sport there is, and anyone who's ever been involved will tell you it's an honor to be associated with boxing. Thank you.
She earned a BA in English from Montclair State and began a career as a reporter and editor at the Wayne Today newspapers and New York Daily News. She was introduced to the street science by her husband Dan and began as director of public relations for the family-run Main Events in 1977. Following Dan's passing in 1996, she assumed the role of CEO, and she orchestrated the return of boxing to the network television with the NBC boxing series and Fighter Night on NBC. An honors graduate from Seton Hall Law School, she is one of the most respected promoters of boxing. The non-participant category 2020 Hall of Fame inductee, Kathy Duba.
Thank you to the hall for this extraordinary recognition. I always thought the best part of my job was just being allowed to come and play in this insane, exciting, addictive, incomparable world. And now this. You know, my late husband, Dan, was platinum. I'm told will be installed next to mine at some point in the coming weeks over in the hall. He was the smartest, most honorable person that I've ever known. To be included alongside him here forever is the best part of what is happening to me today. Dan and I worked together with some all-time great fighters. In fact, we were already here in the hall. Ben Holyfield, Colonel Lineker, Lennox Lewis, Arturo Gary. In main events, has played a small part in events involving a number of the incredible fighters that are being inducted today. But he loved a few more of our fighters over that here soon. I know that I never imagined anything like this could ever happen to me, and I'm doubly shocked to end that. Neither of us made it here, or had the lives we had if it wasn't for the talent, the dedication, discipline, the effort of so many great fighters. Now acknowledged as both male and female, I'm about to say, for making boxing so respectful. They are best conditioned, hardest working, most dedicated athletes in any sport in the world, and they all deserve all of our love and recognition today. This is together. So, well, the rest of today's honorees, because I know most of you pretty well, and I know how hard you work to get here. I want to thank Ed Brophy, Sister Grace, all of the members of the hall, the staff, the incredible volunteers that are here. You know, if you're not up in this group, you don't understand how every time you turn around, there's some little help around, ready to help you out, get you exactly where you should be. And I know how hard they work because I do logistics for a living. I appreciate the amazing undertaking they have accomplished here. I want to shout out to members of my staff, past and present, Joel Rotunda, Alexis Sullivan, Don Shin, Ed Keenan, and of course, the incomparable Jolene Mizon. Take a picture to bring this book, she'd be at the upper state. I want to thank my two friends who have made the trek up here, and some very special members of my family who are also in attendance. You know, a few years ago, through the magic of DNA, my daughter managed to find both of my birth families. And so this weekend, this adopted only child is joined by two brothers, my sister, two nieces, as Mr. Scott. And if you got a great nephew here and a great niece here the other day, I want to thank all of you for accepting me into your families and for being here today. Like everyone in this room, I have lost far too many dear people along the way. And so I reflect on all of them today as well. The people who should have been here too. And there's a lot of them. But the presence of so many very special people who are here today, my family, my friends, all of you, boxing people who are like a family wherever you go. They've made this immeasurable honor that is being bestowed on me by this whole the most amazing thing I think that's ever happened to me. Before I finish, the last and most important thank you I have to give to my beautiful children, Nicole, Lisa, and Brian. I know you didn't have it easy. Lost your dad young. You had me bouncing around all over the world to the as we do. Taking the calls in the middle of the night, trying to split my attention between the former important goings on in your life. I appreciate the fact that you were always behind me, as my son says, he taught me. I think that's true. I put lost it to do, but we got through it together. And the only thing in this world I'm more proud of than being inducted into this hall today is to be able to say over the month. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Carter.
One has Yorkshire, England, she became internationally regarded in boxing as a leading editor reading about Holly Burns, who boxed in the early 1900s. At 18, she began training in London's Wayfair Gym, box exhibitions and fairs. She ventured to the United States in 1952. She boxed around North America and only lost one contest to Joanne Hagan, who outweighed her by 30 pounds. She won the bantamweight title of the world with a unanimous decision over Philadelphia's Twirler in 1957. During her groundbreaking career, she boxed over 100 exhibitions against both men and women, posting a pro record of 30 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. In 1993, she started the Women's International Boxing Federation in the trailblazing category of 2020 Hall of Fame inductee Barbara Marquez.
I hope you don't mind me helping Barbara this speak. You mind? Wow. Oh, you can maybe because I'm a bit small. No, I've waited 75 years to make this speech. Wow. I'm almost look at the world. What's happening? Look at what women's boxing has to do. It's truly amazing. My life has been from Milan to Trippier to Verona. Can you imagine? When I wrote to Fox News in 1957, little did I think I would be here today. Of course, I've been asked many times what I was trying to do. Nothing. I was asked what I was fighting. Respect. There's fantastic women boxers around me. Represent everything I dreamed of. And I'm so proud. So like them all, I appreciate its honor. Praise him. To everybody in this team, I say thank you. 25 years ago, it's still quite old now. But our things have changed. Sure. Because appreciate so everyone, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Born in Hopkins, Virginia, scholarship toward college. She began boxing at a dare 1986 while still in college and ended a really tough women's contest. She turned pro. In 1993, she became a first woman to sign an emotional contract with Donald King and was soon electrifying crowds to feed the beauties. Her skill, ball action style made her the face of women's boxing on the cover of Sports Illustrated. During her career, she won the WWF Super Welterweight Championship and compiled a record of 40 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws with 31 records. So what I tried. Being the coal miner's daughter and her father's uncle, she remains in the sport as the CEO of Christian Iron Promotions. Modern category 2020 WWE Christian Iron. Happy birthday!
Thank you. What do you want to think? I would like to ask everybody who live to time, well, like this, it's not what I think. First of all, I want to thank the Hall of Fame and all the volunteers at Rotary, the whole Rotary family, and everybody for all the work that it takes from year to year to year to get this done, especially this year with Trilogy. Thank all the fans. Some of them fighters represented, or you're much better fighter. Are their leaders. But none of them love their job more than I love mine. Thank everybody last night, but I want to share a quick story. 1996, after I fought Leland Bogarty, I was invited to be the Grand Marshal for the Induction at your Hall of Fame. Before I got called me, I let them know, absolutely not, I was too scared. I mean, these guys are legends. We're talking about Olympic, Vasilio, Gene Fuller, this goes on and on. Aren't you one? Finally, they told me you can't say no, you have to go to jail. You have to do this. So I did, and fortunate for me, those guys that I just mentioned, they kind of did their arms around the older guys and took me in as their granddaughter and told me they appreciated my hard work and my young was pretty good. When I was doing my speech that year, I turned and looked at all the guys, and I remember Marquez being one of them, it's terrifying. I didn't follow my road there. This is, guess what? It's just this. He's very honored to be that sister to all these legends. And I'm not gonna take up all your time, I'm not gonna take up any more time. So I talked to you like almost a minute. In that 2 minutes, 40 people in the country were abused and read out. While I talk. Have a great day. Thank you for everything you've done. And we're done.
Born in Mexico City, Mexico, he took for any mining everything cash and then we have the first thing they renovated before starting annual Medina championship. Derek Deaton of the WBA heavyweight championship. Fought such talented players as Marco Antonio Rivera, Joel Massapior, Juan Diaz, Timothy Bradley, Mike Alvarado, and maybe Pacquiao 4 times. The gifted boxing retired in 2014 with a record of 56 wins, 7 defeats, and 1 draw, 40 knockouts. Honor category 2020, Hall of Fame inductee Juan Manuel Marquez.
Also, an access of those of you who event. When I started my career, my dream was to be a world champion. At 24 years of career, I was 7-time world champion in every division. I always had said, with effort and necessary, the future. I feel very excited to be here for two things. The first, just the greatest of sport boxing are here. The second one, International Boxing Hall of Fame, is the last step to have success in this career. I want to congratulate all of the Boxing Hall of Fame. This is for my family,
This is for all the sport boxing fans, especially the Mexican and Latinos fans.
Gordon moved to California and had over 200 amateur fights before turning pro in 1993. In 1997, he defeated Phil Holloway in the IBF light then taking tough defense into like the 2000s, they defeated Master Hoyers and whether he trouble with that. And the National Foundation of Speed and Power, allowed to get for $1,000 sugar chain or all of that.
Yeah, I think just like maybe 20 minutes ago, sitting down, look like that, Induction to the Hall of Fame. I really, family is very important. We all know this, but in my case, it really very important. My father was the first to recognize that there was a champion on the way and walk that plan to make sure that, that it would happen and that I made it to the gym and, that I had all the things I needed to be the best. And I really have it's almost, if you know me, my father is right there. He's always, training me and making sure that, he was the showtime. And I think that, for the love of my family, I fought so hard. But it was like, when I went to the ring, it was almost like, I'm putting my back, fighting for them. So that it wasn't just me in there. And that's why I said that family spirit for above me, it was them too. They was right there coming fighting. And man, this ring right here and all this really means so much to me. I definitely I like to I just want to thank Ed Brophy and the team, and also not about my family, was my inspiration, but also boxing family. You know what I'm saying? I see Roy then he found a lot of cars, went down to James, Tony, and all these fighters. I'm too important. Then all of them, Leila Lee. These were inspirations. When I watched them fight, I knew that I had to step up my game and I had to be better. Try to be better. Or just as good, because my man Floyd, that. The list goes on and on, but I just want to say thank you guys, and I want to give my father the props because he really deserves it, really sit behind me. I'm so happy that I'm inducted. Thank you for inducting me and getting me one of the Hall of Fame that I wanted to be all my life since I was 8 years old. Thank you.
For the Newton IDF developed in 1995. Then it had 26 subsequent titles defenders on record. He unified all 4 title bouts the first regional. Most victories over those Junior Wiki Franklin, Jackson, Simon Brown, Carl Davis, and Anton Eccles. Named 2001's Fighter of the Year, the oldest fighter to ever win a world title, Nine years old. Renowned for his aggressive combination punching style, combined with terrific defense, remains involved in boxing as a partner holding a Georgia promotion. Modern category 2020 Hopkins.
Set it up yesterday, the last about a month. It's Rudy battles, legendary referee battles, it's close. He's here, right? Somebody bring Rudy battle for me, this is important. Okay, and my son, Bernard, read that. You guys started. What we waiting here? You don't want to fall. This is very important. Not only for credibility, for reality to say and how I spoke yesterday, now confirming. Let me tell you about battles you try in boxing or claim you know about boxing. Gotta know about Rudy battles. Rudy battles and Bernard Hopkins shared the neighborhood called Trilogy. Rudy battles going out of stinking block. I was on a 100 block called Sharp Neck Street. My mother migrated to Germantown from Lower Philadelphia to get us away ahead of time before the gang war known in the East Coast in the 70s. It was terrible. I was 65, January 15, King's Day.
Hello.
Rudy Bagley. This man right here, I think yesterday, if you remember, I can remember. Rudy Bagley used to be on the street corner in Philadelphia in our neighborhood. Rudy Battles used to basically come down, drive a nice car, wolf rings on his hand. And it was this cool old with nice hair back. And he still had it. I wasn't Bernard Hopkins, I went in for 5 years. I was 16 years old with a very small amateur record because they had a boxing gym at a guy's house named Mr. J. Carey, who had a club called Together Brothers, keep brothers from killing each other. A lot of people down here on stage with me, Boy Fisher, Brother Nazi, but I'm over here in spirit. Rudy Bagley, a known referee who done dozens and dozens of world championship fights. In 1995, I believe, and Lando Verona, I remember we had a property with Segundo Mercado, a rematch fight that took place in Quito, Ecuador, where I went down twice on knockdown and fought my way to a draw, and now we returned and landed the Verona. Rudy Battles was asked by Bob Lee, the former IBF president, International Boxing Federation. There's Don Rudy Battles, who visited me up in Dallas State Penitentiary, which is 2.5 hours, maybe 3. I said again, I wasn't Bernard Hopkins champion. I wasn't Bernard Hopkins with a particular career, gold medal, or any other boxing. And this man took time to drive 2.5 hours to Dallas, Pennsylvania, to encourage me, who was in his neighborhood as a troubled youth. They put $20 on my books and said, if you come home and do what you say you're going to do, and actually do it, I will lead the way. I will do what I need to do to connect you with the right people. And the first thing he did, because I was in a 9-month halfway house before I got out Friday, because of my prison record was clean, and I would be champion for years. talking about 5 years during time. Yeah, I was changing before I became world champion. And Chris. Do the battle. Can't make this stuff up. Referee my first championship fight, I said, got me my first job at Pentown Hotel. They let me go because I never been in a box that I had a felony. Because they had, if you ever been arrested or had a felony, then it was 3 times what it was. I skipped the box and I skipped the line.
Oops.
And they let me go. My statistics are straight back in the penitentiary, still got it. One done, I got 7 years to walk off me. 88, 89, in the 90s. If you look at my record, I challenge everyone they need. The 8 years I lost William Mitchell, 7 years, 89 I've been active. 90, what was I doing and what was happening in that year and a half before I rebooted? Met Butch Lewis, dude. Pretty bad. Then I'm long enough to give me his word that it would make the connection. Rudy, we're in the Hall of Fame. Whoa! And I'm so glad I called your wife. You said it won't be complete unless she's here. Your wife is not home. But I'm glad you are here. And I thank you for $20 for the both of us for the big answer so that never give up. And watch what you say. What you say out of your mouth, tell the world who you are. Thank you. One last story. See, I paid good money in public school to help nothing. Hey. I want you to look at the name my dad gave me, Bernard Hopkins Jr., even though you'll never follow me that name, because it never was Jr. on my name, it was Bernard Hopkins. Somewhere you got Bernard Hopkins. I don't know who that is. But I tell you what, wherever, this is my ring, right? His birthday today, but I'm letting them know something that's 11. We are blessed to give our kids everything. I ain't not going to do hold it until tomorrow. Oh God, I'm in chicken now, privilege, man. See, son, this is a lesson. I'm gonna let you hold this because it's your born day. It's key. Why? Because things are I don't care how much they worry about that. I'm not afraid about that. I will not destroy them. Thank you for the absolutely. God. Personally, congratulating you on being inducted to International Boxing Hall of Fame. And I appreciate the acknowledgement. And it's a great pleasure to have the opportunity to share this historic and memorable day in your life. And also I value the opportunity to be able to participate in your legacy. And once again, congratulations.
Dark green. Okay, folks, that is our class 2020. Now, what we're gonna do, it's gonna give me 2 minutes. So I want to ask our class of 2020, if you can, get your rings on. Come on up here, we're gonna take a group picture. We're gonna do this with each class. One of 2020 ring on.
Yeah. Wow. This charge is God.
That was good, everyone.
Yeah. Another hour. Might get below, yeah. In the song shit. Like that.
2020.
Make sure it should be fun.
We're gonna have a video to start that out first. Stand, and there is 134 52nd while with 65 KOs in his amateur career. By winning the super heavyweight gold, the 1996 Olympic Games, Turf Pro in Germany and tallied 24 straight victories before losing to Ross Turner. He rebounded with action shows and mountain bear, one out before defeating Chris Berg for the WBO heavyweight title. After 5 successful defenses following before being upset by Corey Sanders. After the loss, he enlisted Emmanuel Stewart as his trainer. After an up and down start, Stockberg for the IBO titles began to dominate 9-year title reign that included 18 successful defenses, combining athleticism, dominant jab, and punishing power to register a 76.8 knockout number. And that's 2021 modern category Vladimir Klitschko, now we don't have Vladimir here. You have a video.